I am super excited today because I've got 8 brand new games for the original Game Boy and the Game Boy Color to show you all in this week's video. All of these games will be coming out either later this year or early next year, and I've been speaking to all of the developers and they've been very kind in order to send me over early versions of the games to play for this video. So I really hope you enjoy taking a look at these games as much as I have playing them. Let's get started. So the first game we're starting off this video with is called Planet Hop, and it currently has a Kickstarter running at the moment, so if you enjoy what you see in this preview, definitely go and check it out using the link in the description. I'll also put links in the description to all of the developers' Twitter pages and the best places to find out more information about all these games as well. So in the game Planet Hop, you control this rabbit here as you jump around the levels. The levels are all small puzzle platforming areas, and in each stage you have to collect 5 different stars in order to finish the stage. It's very difficult right from the first stage, and I can see this getting really challenging later on. So expect to be replaying the levels several times before you manage to move on. Everything about this game seems fantastic, from the amazing visuals to the level designs themselves. It wasn't too challenging in order to find the stars that were scattered throughout the levels, but it was challenging enough to make it enjoyable. It also has this really nice map screen where you choose the different planets that you want to explore, and it even has boss fights, which I think is a first for this kind of game that's been made within Game Boy Studio 2, at least from the games that I've played so far. If there's one thing that I'd like to be improved before the final release, that is the music and sound effects. I don't really think they sound very good, especially considering what's possible on the Game Boy. It's all very high pitched, and I did end up reaching for the volume to turn it down after a while. So, like I said at the start, if you like what you see here, definitely go and check out the Kickstarter. It also looks like it's going to have a really nice physical version too. Next is Gaias Seed, and this is a really interesting one. It's being developed by my sponsor Bifrost Bridge Studios, and they gave me access to a very early build of their upcoming RPG. I plan to do a full video, of course, when it's closer to release, but for now, a bit of background. This is a very ambitious game in the fact that it plays a larger part of a transmedia narrative. That means that along with the RPG that you're seeing here, there'll also be a graphic novel and a board game, all which help piece together the story of Gaias Seed. You begin the game as the character Celine, who we'll learn more about through the other forms of media. You can explore a house and chat with various NPCs. And then once you venture outside into the town, you're told to go and investigate the Tree of Life, which is shown in the graphic novel on pages 4 to 7, so you can kind of see how one media intertwines with the other. There's a small village that you can visit just down the path, and although the shops don't seem functional in this build of the game, I presume like most other RPGs you'll be able to buy potions, upgrade your weapons and armour and things like that in the shops here. Once you're done with the town, it's off towards the path to the Tree of Life, and this is where you encounter your first random battle. For a Game Boy Studio RPG, I'm pretty impressed with the turn-based combat system they've managed to make for the game. You can choose an attack from each of the 4 party members and trade attacks with the enemies. Unfortunately, in this early version of the game, the battles don't actually mean anything. There's no experience or reward for completing a fight, and each battle is always against 4 enemies, so it is a very slow-paced start to the game. Once you finally manage to fight your way through the forest, you arrive at the tree, and this is where the first big fight of the game begins, and unfortunately also where my demo ended. It crashed several times on the way to this fight, and when I got there it actually froze completely, so unfortunately that's all I can show you of this very early demo, but it does seem very promising and I can't wait to show you more in the future. If you'd like to find out more about the game or about my channel sponsor, check the links in the description. If you've been watching RetroBreak for a while, you might remember that last year I made a video about a homebrew game called Jetpack DX. Well, this is Asobi Tech's latest Game Boy outing, a very different game indeed. This one's a puzzle game in which you guide this robot around top-down levels in order to defuse bombs without blowing yourself up. It's a really unique and simple concept. All it uses is the D-pad, no buttons required. Each bomb has a countdown on it, and when it reaches 0 it explodes in a set range, also setting off any bombs within that area. It's up to you to try and clear out all of the stage without getting blown up. And just before this video was about to go live, Krang actually sent me over an updated version of the game. This one now includes lasers as well. These appear randomly on the side of the screen and also have a separate countdown, and then they will explode in a line all the way across, so it's a lot more to keep your eyes on. I think it's really fascinating to see how the game evolved since I got the first demo, and if you want to see how he's working on the game, you can actually follow him over on Twitch and follow his regular Gameboy dev streams. They're really interesting to watch, and I definitely recommend you going and checking them out if you're interested in this game. Of course, just like Super Jetpack DX as well, this game has a fantastic soundtrack already, and from what I've seen of some of the artwork made to go along with the game, it also looks outstanding, so I really can't wait for the full version of this. And of course, just like all the other games, when it comes out I will be doing a full video on it, so I hope you enjoyed this little preview. This game's called Wink, and I've had this one on my radar for a long time now. It's well known in the community as one of the best games made with Game Boy Studio 2. It's really impressive to see how much the developer has managed to squeeze out of the game engine. The game itself consists of side-scrolling platformer levels and an overhead world map, similar to the recent Yooka-Laylee. I'm just blown away by the level of polish and playability of this game. It's far and above a lot of the other GB Studio platformers that I've played so far. You can really tell it was a passion project to bring this surreal world to life. The music is fantastic, and as you can see, the graphics are equally as impressive. The game itself is very simple. It's a straightforward platformer. You also get a laser attack you can use by pressing the A button. That's right, the A button. Unfortunately, this is also a problem with a lot of other GB Studio games, where they have the A button as attack and the B button as jump, which is actually backwards compared to a lot of platformers on the system. So when I play these games on the emulator, or if I'm using the Mister now, I actually reverse the A and B buttons, but it would be great if the developers could actually have an option to swap the buttons round without actually having to go and edit the code in the background. So hopefully before the final release of this, the buttons do get swapped around, because it was literally the only issue I had with the game so far. This game's called Gelatinous, made by RetroBreak, who also made the amazing Quest Arrest game for the Game Boy that I did a review on last year. This is a very different game. Like a few others on the list, this one is a platformer made in Game Boy Studio 2, but it's a very unique take on the platforming genre. You control this blob, and at first all you can do is cling to the walls and manoeuvre around the stages that way, but later into the game you can find some power-ups, first of all which allow you to jump, and then a bit later on even allow you to attack the enemies. It is an early build, so there's still a lot of polish that's needed before it's released, but I'm definitely interested to see where they take it. The sense of progression and the atmosphere so far is fantastic. I also love the fact that at an event recently when Rue demoed the game, a 9-year-old kid played the game for over an hour and then begged his parents to buy him a copy when it comes out. There's no better endorsement than that. Now this is a really interesting one, because this game was originally planned for release in the early 2000s, but was cancelled due to the launch of the GBA, meaning that no one wanted to publish a game for the Game Boy Color anymore. Well, amazingly, after 20 years, Retromodding and Incubate have recently picked the game up and will be using the money from the Kickstarter to fund the rest of the game's development and a nice physical release to go along with it. The game's called Infinity, and I did play it a few years ago when the unfinished ROM was surfaced online around 2016, I believe. It will be really interesting to play a full JRPG that was designed to be released during the Game Boy Color's lifespan, rather than one that was made more recently in GB Studio. Like I said, I played the beta version many years ago and I really enjoyed it at the time, and it seemed very promising. So if you do want to help fund the development and get this finished games in your hands, check the link to the Kickstarter in the description below. This one is very early in development. This is called Repungant Bounty, and I found out about it thanks to the fact that the developer is part of my Discord server and regularly posts updates in there. They were very kind and actually put together a playable version for me to show off in this video. At the moment it's really nothing more than a walking simulator, but I really wanted to showcase it because what is here is really impressive. It has some of the best atmosphere and movement that I've seen from a GB Studio platformer. There's one thing in particular that really stood out to me, and that is the physics. For the first time in one of these games, I felt completely in control. It looks like the final game will become a fantastic Metroidvania-style adventure when it's finished. It has some of the most atmospheric graphics that I've seen in one of these games so far, and it also has a really good soundtrack to go along with it. When I was walking around these empty areas, I could just picture it full of enemies and items to collect. There was even a few boss fights that kind of showed up, but they didn't really do anything at this point in development. I'm still really excited to see where it's going to go though. Like I said, the dev's been posting regular updates in my Discord, so if you want to go over there and check out what he has to show, you can do that by following the link in the description, and he also just set up a Twitter page as well. This one is very early in development, but it looks like it's going really well, and I can't wait to play the finished product. And the last game we're looking at is called Flying Arrows. This one I've been keeping up with for quite a while, and the developer very kindly sent me over a new build of the game for this video. This one's an action platformer which of course revolves around, as the title suggests, flying arrows. I love the idea of not only using the arrows as an attack, but also using them as a platforming aid as well. It still has a lot of bugs to iron out and some weird physics glitches, but I'm sure the developer will figure them all out in time. I'm very interested to see how this one progresses. I love the fact that this one's going back to basics, using really simple sprites and really nicely laid out levels that lend themselves really well to the original Game Boy system. This one reminds me of something like the original Mario Land, or maybe the original Batman platformer for the Game Boy. I really enjoy what I've played so far, and I can't wait to play the finished game, just like all the other games on this list. So let me know down in the comments below what were your favourite games that I showed off in this video, and if you are working on any homebrew games of your own, feel free to join my Discord and post over in the Game Dev tab. That's it for now, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you all next week for the next episode. Goodbye!